היי, סליחה על ההפרעה, זה אבי נוסבאום, פשוט אני רק באתי להגיד שמהיום אתם יכולים להיכנס לתשמעו קטע ולהאזין לכל קטעי הסטנדאפ שלי בכל מקום ובכל זמן שמתחשק לכם, לא משנה מה אתם עושים תוך כדי, בכיף שלכם. זה כמו פודקאסט, אבל לא פודקאסט, תשמעו קטע, לא פודקאסט.
1, 2, 3 מה אתה עושה כשאתה קם בבוקר?
מתן אדלסון, שלום, מה העניינים?
How's it going, Shai?
We're going to do this in Hebrew, so get ready. מה אתה עושה כשאתה קם בבוקר?
First thing is I check my phone, unfortunately. It's a horrible habit.
Do you have it on next to your bed?
I have a little nightstand next to my bed.
Come on, man.
I sleep on the left side of the bed, and so, yeah, I just grab it immediately. Because my alarm goes off, so the first thing I have to do is shut my alarm off.
And then you check your
And then
alerts.
I see the notifications, and you get dragged into everything.
That's it. That's how you begin your day.
Yeah.
And then you go drive to Jerusalem, right?
No, then usually I go to the restroom, and then usually I wash my face,
Okay,
and then
that's pretty specific. Yeah.
and then I get out of my room, and then I say hi to my little dog, and we play around for a few minutes.
How new is the new pup?
He's a little less than 2 months. Less than 2 months since we got him. He's about 4 months old.
Okay.
Insane, in a great way.
Yeah.
But eating everything at home.
That's wonderful. So much to eat, I hope.
We've kind of limited his access to the house.
Okay.
Me and my girlfriend, we've limited access to his house.
Okay. So as for now, we're going to get into more serious stuff later. Is Apollo Jerusalem, Apollo Yerushalayim, is it your sole business right now?
I would say it's for the last 2 years since I bought the team, approximately 2 years. It's been my full-time job, more or less.
You had a job previously.
I had a few different jobs previously. I quit my most recent job to focus on Apollo Jerusalem full time. And now I'm doing other things as well, which are taking up more and more of my time as Hapoel is starting to be more operational. Operationally self-sufficient, as I like to call it.
Okay, we'll get into that in a second. Before we talk about serious stuff, which is life in basketball, mainly basketball, let's talk about hobbies. Give me some hobbies.
I like to play basketball.
Okay.
I try to play once, twice a week. Listen, I was not the most active.
Extracurricular stuff. I mean, I don't know. You like to read, watch TV.
I watch TV. I watch a lot of sports, obviously. Not only basketball, but everything.
Okay.
Used to game more when I was growing up.
Okay.
As time has gone on, I've gamed less and less.
Okay. Working out?
I try to work out 4 times a week.
Whoa. Yoga?
No. Lifting, primarily lifting weights.
No yoga?
No yoga.
We had a whole section about yoga. People were lying to us.
No, I hated yoga.
Okay.
But I do need to do a better job of stretching more consistently. Even though I'm 25, I feel like I have a body of a 70-year-old. Like my body is constantly in pain. My hips are horrible. My knees are horrible. And I felt that I needed to do very personalized stretches for myself.
Okay. And that you should get that from yoga.
It wasn't personalized enough. That's what I felt.
Okay, let's start off with a quick NBA questionnaire.
Questionnaire.
Quiz. Quick. Nah, it's not really a quiz.
Let's hear it.
Just questions. GOAT?
Kobe.
Nah. You're an LA kid, but it's not Kobe. Kobe over Michael?
Michael admitted that Kobe took all of his moves and made them better. And if Michael is more or less the undisputed GOAT, and Michael admits that Kobe is a better version of him, then why is Kobe not the GOAT?
Okay.
That's my most basic argument for why Kobe is the GOAT.
Okay, now we're going to talk about GOAT as far as coaches are concerned.
As far as coaches are concerned, Phil Jackson.
Again, LA.
I grew up a big Laker fan. I'm biased.
Greatest or biggest game you've ever watched?
Kobe's last game. I was there. I'm a Kobe guy. What can I say?
Are we getting some repetition here? I'm just making sure.
You want me to diversify a little bit?
No.
Okay.
Only the truth and nothing but
only
the truth. His final game.
His final game. That, for me, was the most...
I understand that.
It was the most emotional sporting event I'd ever been at. I was crying. You know, Kobe was my idol. Still is. I don't know if that's the best sporting event I've ever been to, but basketball for sure.
Well, as far as emotional stuff is concerned, I mean, even before the tragedy, it was a huge, huge deal. Where, the day of the tragedy, Kobe's tragedy, where did it get you?
I was at college. I was in university. I woke up, a friend of mine, a good family friend from Los Angeles, she called me And I was sleeping in this particular day. I didn't have class. I think it happened at around 10 or 11 in the morning.
Yep.
And she called me and she said, hey, I'm in LA. Or I'm in the grocery store. There's a lot of whispers that Kobe died.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything about it? I said, you just woke me up. And she was 10, 15 minutes from where the crash site was at the time. And she said, people are freaking out here. Do you know anything? I said, why would I know anything more than you? And yeah, that's where I was.
I believe I was either watching or attending a game in Yad Eliyahu. It was like Maccabi against Hapoel Tel Aviv or Hapoel Jerusalem, I believe. And we got Amare's reaction.
Live.
Yeah. And he was, and the game had no meaning afterwards because, you know, the rumor spread from the stands to the court.
You heard like a gasp all at the same time. Everyone in the arena
and
was
nobody
in total
wanted
shock.
to continue. I mean, I remember tweeting, stop the game. Like, stop the count, stop the game. We don't need to play anymore. It's, you know, it doesn't make any difference anymore. I won't forget ever. Mm-hmm. So who's going to win this year?
The honest answer is I'm not following enough to have a very opinionated answer of that question. It's too early to say.
Early hunch?
Early hunch, I'll say the Mavericks. It's a little biased, but
okay,
I'm not allowed to say that, huh?
Nah.
No, listen, Boston looks great. I mean, Cleveland looks great. Orlando's won like 12 out of 13 of their last games. Yeah. Golden State. There's a lot of contenders.
No Lakers. I don't believe in them.
I'm not sure the Lakers have enough to win it. I'm not sure they have enough.
Okay, let's talk basketball as far as you're concerned. When, at what age do you become a basketball fan?
As long as I can remember.
Give me your earliest memory watching a basketball game.
My earliest memory was at a Laker game. I want to say I was 5 or 6 years old.
Went with your folks?
With my whole family, with my parents and my older brother, and again with the same family friends that we had in Los Angeles. We had a house, still have a house in Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in Las Vegas, but given the proximity between the two cities, we would go almost every weekend. And I think I was around 5 years old when we went to the first Laker game in Staples Center. And from that day, I was hooked. I think it was a Laker-Clipper game as well. And from that day, I was hooked.
Okay, what was the drawing?
You want me to be super redundant here on the
of
podcast?
Course, redundant.
Kobe was my draw, to be completely honest. I had some, again, the same family friends. They were big Laker fans. They were a few years older than me. Big Laker fans, big Kobe fans. You know, when you're a 5-year-old kid and you're hanging out with, call it your cousins that are older and they like one thing, so you want to copy them because you look up to them and they're cool to you, and so you start to like the things that they like. And they were big.
But I have a feeling you're a sports guy, you know, as far as couches are concerned. I mean, you watch SportsCenter,
everything.
NFL.
SportsCenter I watched every morning. I watched 30, 45 minutes of SportsCenter every morning growing up.
So you know your stuff. I mean, you probably know MLB, NFL, maybe not hockey, I don't know.
NHL and MLB are the two that I follow less, but NFL, I'm a huge NFL fan, a big Formula One fan. I'm a Premier League fan. I like soccer generally. United. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they have some, you know, American ties. I mean, how close were you to getting involved with some Premier League team?
Listen, I'll say generally speaking, we as in the family, were approached many, many times about many professional sports franchises, not only in basketball, also in football and soccer. I won't say names of clubs, but a few times that we were looking at Premier League clubs.
What's their names? Glazers?
Yeah, the Glazer family. Yeah, they own
Do you know
United. No, I don't know them.
Just my way to try to figure out if
No, I don't know
I'm
them.
sneaky in that way. What about playing? You told me you were playing once or twice a week. As a kid, did you have like a JCC nearby?
We had no, but I went to a Jewish school, a Jewish private school in Las Vegas, and it was small enough to the point where if you wanted to be on the team, you were on the team.
Yeah, that was I played also in Dayton, Ohio, in the local school because we only had 5 players, and I was one of the 5.
So there were no tryouts. The team needed players. So if you signed up, you were on the team.
Did you sign up?
And I signed up. So the first organized team started at 5th grade, and so from 5th to 8th grade was middle school, and I played all 4 years of middle school, and then in high school is when the whole tryout concept started to come into play a little bit.
Yeah.
If you signed up, you were there, but it was, would you go to varsity or would you go to junior varsity?
Yeah, and you were at?
And so I was horrible. I probably scored a combined 20 points, 30 points maximum in my 4 years of middle school basketball.
Okay.
And then the summer going into 9th grade, I told myself, okay, I've had enough. I do not want to ride the bench anymore. I want to actually do something on the floor. I want to be impactful. And so I took who ended up being the head coach of the junior varsity team as a trainer, and we had a hoop at home. And for every day for 6 months before the junior varsity season in 9th grade, I trained with him, and my game improved drastically. And I started the season as captain, and I was captain of junior varsity for 9th and 10th grade. Started both years.
Give me your
Played
best
well.
high school. Do you know Al Bundy, the character? He has.
No.
It's an old TV show. He remembers how he had 4 touchdowns in one game. So give me your best game, your best showing. Against who it was?
My most memorable game in high school was against my personal game, I should say.
Of
was
course, I'm only
against
talking about you.
was our first game in 9th grade in junior varsity. We played against our rival from across town. Actually, it was like 5 minutes drive. It was a school called the Meadows.
Okay.
And we played against their junior varsity team. I was tasked with guarding their best player. And I had my career high in points. I had like 15 points. I had like 6-7 assists. And I went 4 for 4 from 3.
What position did you play at?
I was the 2.
Okay.
I was a combo, kind of.
So you're like the Harper of your high school team.
First of all, I'm significantly more overweight than he is. No, I was a 2, and I had good passing ability, and I have good IQ of the game. Now when I play, I call myself a Draymond Green kind of point forward. My lowest point in my basketball career, this was probably in the 7th grade, I want to say. Again, this is when I was not really playing.
I'm listening.
I was inbounding the ball on the baseline, kind of behind, underneath the basket. And we drew up some inbound play, and I'm inbounding, and I'm holding the ball here above my head, ready to pass it in. And I throw the ball, and I hit the back of the backboard. And immediately got subbed out and was so upset. And I went home and I cried that evening. I was so disappointed in myself. And my friends still laugh at me until this day about that moment.
From what I hear by now, the only one to be blamed for this is your coach. He drew up the wrong play.
Exactly. Yeah.
He should have been sacked.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was my fault. It's my fault.
So getting to the arena from time to time, do you get over there, put some sneakers on? And,
after the games, I try to stay. I wait till all the fans clear
so
out.
nobody's going to watch.
Listen, every game we have, some people will stay afterwards. But I'm not with a proper athletic outfit. I don't have shoes. For fun, I go put some shots up. Sometimes if I go to practice, so I'll try to get there a little earlier. I'll stay a little bit after, and I'll shoot around a little bit.
Okay, I'm calling for something I want to see. I want to see Mr. Matan Adelson playing against Jonathan Alon.
I challenge him. I challenge him a lot.
We challenge you right now on camera, Mr. Yonchuk. I want to see you try to beat Mr. Matan Adelson.
If you go to Jonathan and Dan and you ask them, what is Matan's most used joke? Without fail, it is put me in the game. It is put me in practice, put me in the game.
At least play horse.
I have my shoes in my car. I challenge Yonchuk to horse. He doesn't want to play.
He doesn't want to play?
He's too scared.
Chicken.
He's too scared.
You chicken.
I'm calling you out, Yonchuk. It's the truth. If people want to come play with me, I play in the South Tel Aviv area. I'll kick anyone's ass on the courts these days.
Time and day. I
play a few times a week, and let's just say in the Rothschild area on some public courts there. I won't name the exact one.
Jova.
If you guys want to come, I'll kick your ass.
He's like 6'6", I'm just.
That's fine.
Okay. So let's use your basketball IQ and knowledge. Yesterday, did you get to watch the games? Oh, were you at
we had a game yesterday. Yeah, we played against Beersheva.
Okay, so let's talk about the Beersheva game. What are you guys doing well?
We're moving the ball well. We're running. Defensively, we're playing super tough. I think Tariq was an amazing signing for us. I mean, defensively, we have the last 3. Who was Orr the defensive player of the year last year?
Yep.
So we have Orr, CJ, and Zeus, who were the last 3 defensive player of the years in Israel, plus Tariq, plus our bigs are playing well defensively as well.
Whoever's playing right now.
Whoever's playing, but people are, generally speaking, the front court is defending well. Defensively, we're extremely tough. You have a guy like Zeus whose arms seemingly get longer by the day and just touch everything. We're running, which I love to see. I mean, yesterday specifically, we were hitting shots, facilitating the ball, moving the ball well. The team did look very puzzled in the beginning of the season.
It's also stagnant.
And stagnant. And I think yesterday in particular against Beersheva, you saw a good flow, which I don't want to say didn't exist until yesterday, but every game it's improving. The flow, players know where they need to be. There's a good movement at all times, a lot of passing the ball. And you see, yesterday we had 6 players in double figures, and we had 3 guys that were 1 basket away from double figures. So the ball was moving. We had almost 9 players in double figures. Like that kind of facilitating the ball, that kind of sharing, finding the open shooter, playing quick as well, and using that speed to create opportunities for other guys. That, to me, was very exciting.
Okay, now I'm interested. I'm puzzled since obviously you know his stuff. Do you get to talk basketball with your guys? You know, your basketball branch, your professional branch, Dan Shamir, Yonatan Alon, players maybe?
So yes, but I try to limit myself, and I'll elaborate. I will never be near any of those guys, Yonatan, Dan, Gal, any of the assistants, any of the players, in terms of basketball IQ or in terms of telling them what to do. So I will never go to Yonchuk and say, Yonchuk, I think you need to run this set.
Or you might be able to share your ideas and thoughts.
If he asks, I will share. But I'll never come to him and say, do X, Y, and Z, or play this guy X more minutes, or play this guy less minutes.
But don't you feel like sometimes, just shouting and saying, just put that guy
I'm not the professional. I want to let the professionals do their job. At the end of the day, like when we go to sign a player, for example, I'll give my opinion. But if Yonatan, Dan, and Gal all say he's the guy, I go with them. I'm not going to like override them just because I have the authority to.
Example where it didn't happen.
You want for a player that we ultimately signed and I was proven wrong, or for a player we didn't sign?
I'm not going to.
Okay, I'll throw out a name because he's no longer here and all the love for him, and I have nothing but immense respect. Ja'Cory Williams.
Yeah.
Okay? I did not want to sign Ja'Cory last year. I didn't think he was big enough. I didn't think he was sexy enough. I was not convinced. Everyone saw the video of him shooting a free throw. I was like, who the hell is this guy?
So ugly.
And Yonatan, Dan wasn't even a part of the system at that point, but Yonatan and Gal were convinced that he's the guy. The assistant coaches were convinced that he's the guy. And despite my opinion on the matter, I said, I'll go with you. Go ahead, sign him. And without Ja'Cory last year, I mean, we all saw how impactful he was on both sides of the floor, and the spark of energy he was, and athleticism.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean,
and they proved me wrong. Like Ja'Cory was an amazing player for us.
Even without examples, okay, even without naming names and being specific, do you feel like the opposite scenes also occurred, where you insisted?
I shut something down because I didn't like it. It did happen.
Okay, yeah. And was it because of basketball matters? Because of financial matters? Primarily
basketball, and let's call it PR matters as well.
What do you mean? Because
listen,
before you answer, it's pretty common in the local basketball community that Apollo Jerusalem is a good team. Right now, it's even better than good. Okay, more than good, but it's not considered to be extremely sexy. Okay, so when you talk about PR as far as stuff you take under consideration while signing players, it's extremely intriguing.
It's a consideration. It's not the priority. At the end of the day, we'll always prioritize winning over everything, over marketability, over sexiness, over the ability to leverage a signing to sell tickets. We will always prioritize winning. And if we take 2 examples, I'm just throwing out names, Amari Stoudemire versus Ja'Cory Williams, and we say Amari's going to sell a lot more tickets, but maybe if we sign Amari, he's at the end of his career. Maybe his knees aren't there. Maybe he's, he can actually impact the game less than a guy like Ja'Cory can, for example.
Okay.
And all the professional staff says, go for Ja'Cory. So I'm going to go with them on Ja'Cory.
But you did shut down an opportunity because of PR matters.
So I shut down an opportunity, one, because I thought this was in the Jikic era. This is when we were building the roster for last season.
Yeah.
There was a player, I won't share his name, but good player. I think he signed in the EuroLeague this summer, but I'm not sure. But
Jova, look up players who signed in the EuroLeague this summer. We're going to figure it out.
You won't figure it out.
Okay, I won't.
He's a big man. I'll give you more hint. Big man.
Big man signing in the EuroLeague.
Who had, I don't even think, any experience playing in European competitions, meaning BCL, EuroLeague, or Eurocup.
Oh, you're driving me crazy right now.
And Jikic was sold that he's the guy. This was instead of Maurice Ndor. So it was supposed to be instead of him. We ultimately signed Maurice. But he was pushing so hard to sign this guy. I said no because again, this guy had very limited experience playing in top European domestic or international competitions. And frankly, I didn't think he was good enough. And I shut it down. And he ended up being a hell of a player. He was absolutely crushing it for his national team as well. That's another hint, maybe.
Jova, I'm losing my mind over here. Help me out. He's crushing right now with the national team.
He was crushing it. I think in the summer window. He was.
Where is he playing right now? Continent.
You want me to look it up?
Well, just give me the name.
No,
I'll tell you.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't. I think he's in Europe still.
Okay. Guys, if you know who Matan's talking about, please let me know. Send me, DM me. I don't know. How did Djikic take it? Because he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who takes rejection pretty easily, with a smile.
And he was satisfied with.
He's like an intimidating guy. I mean, he seems like one.
He was satisfied with signing Maurice Sandor, which is ultimately who we signed. So I think at the end of the day, he was okay with it. But yeah, the guy cursed a lot. You can be sure about that.
And he knows his Serb curses very well.
I heard a few words here and there before, but.
Okay, so getting back to basketball experience, I mean, did you ever catch you, I mean, whenever, in college, back home, right here, were you, sitting on the couch, having, pizzas or whatever, and, legally betting on games, like you do with friends?
I had friends. Sports betting is obviously a huge thing now in the United States. Yeah. I never really got into sports betting. I do like gambling. I mean, I go to casinos, like I play, I enjoy it.
Family business, hey.
I like playing poker, I like blackjack, but sports betting I never really got into because I felt that when I gamble, which again, it's not frequently, but I would like...
This is fun. I'm having fun right now.
I like to be in control, and I feel like with, being physically in a casino, playing a blackjack or roulette or whatever, I'm more in control of my own money's destiny.
Not really. When you're playing, do you play the roulette?
Not really. For sure not. Statistically speaking, it's a totally invalid argument.
Do I need to tell you about what happens when you bet against the house? Or maybe
you don't need to. No, I know. But psychologically
I
speaking, it feels better. To me. I don't know why.
A couple personal questions. Quick personal questions. Are you a man of faith?
Meaning, am I religious?
Yeah, I mean, do you believe in God? Do you go to shul? Have you ever put on a yarmulke outside of your school?
I believe in God.
Yeah.
I would say I'm more traditional than I am religious. So growing up, we did Shabbat dinner every week. Yeah. We did all the holidays. We sang all the songs. We ate all the typical traditional foods for each of the holidays. We went to shul on the high holidays. But I'm not a guy that will go to shul on a random Shabbat.
Now, speaking of randoms, watch how these questions go in zigzags.
Okay.
Sony, Xbox?
Xbox.
Which games do you master? Did you master? Do you master?
My best game to date is FIFA.
You're a FIFA player? Any good?
I like to think at one point I was very, very good.
Who do you play with usually? Yeah. Ultimate?
Anyone. No, I never played Ultimate Team.
Marvel or DC?
It's not really my world. But if I had to say, I would say Marvel.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man stuff.
It's not really my world, but...
Can we ever catch you doing some karaoke?
Not publicly, but with friends, why not? Yeah.
McDonald's or Sabich?
I don't like eggplant, so McDonald's. McDonald's regardless, but...
You're a McDonald's guy.
No, but people can't say McDonald's fries aren't amazing. And I don't like eggplant again, so...
Favorite TV show?
Of all time or currently?
All times.
I'd say Breaking Bad, House of Cards.
Saul.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. The League, if you know it. It's a show about fantasy football.
Yeah.
I'd say those are.
I was kind of hoping you're gonna say Succession.
Never seen it. Never seen it.
Come on now. First of all, it's a good show.
I've heard it's a great show. Yeah.
Why? How come you didn't get to watch it?
I'm not a big TV show guy, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of different series in my life, but Breaking Bad and House of Cards for me are
because
super high up there.
I'm going to throw out another card
right now.
I
know what Succession is.
Okay, so Matan's a youngster. What do we need to know? I mean, if you need to characterize yourself, growing up, a serious kid, focused kid, funny, goofy kid, funny kid, angry kid, rebellious kid.
I feel like, this is a question where I can't really talk about myself here. I feel like you got to take my parents. My mom will never give an interview or do a podcast or anything.
How come, by the way? I mean, she's one of the most famous women in the world.
Actually, I think my sister is starting a podcast, and I think she was her first guest.
Okay, that will be amazing, of course.
And I'll go be her second guest, or maybe her third guest. I don't know.
Okay, you're going to have a lot of experience by the time we're done.
Yeah, exactly. This is just practice. This doesn't mean anything. Well, who was I as a kid? Listen, I was driven. I always got good grades. My mom always likes the joke that when I have an older brother who's 2 years older, that
Adam,
that you did your research.
Of course. I mean, like you, he's living the life.
He's having fun.
Yeah.
And unlike Adam, with all the love to Adam, my mom jokes that we would always come home from school and she would have to be on top of Adam to make sure that he would do all his homework. And
he was a wild kid. Not wild.
He was not wild.
Adventurous kid.
He had a lot of different hobbies growing up.
Okay.
He was a little bit more rebellious as a kid.
Okay.
Nothing crazy now, but just more than I was.
Yeah,
and
it's
so,
pretty crazy. I mean, let's talk about it. Adam is he's Indy, right?
He does not race IndyCar, but he's a race car driver. Yeah.
So that's pretty adventurous, huh?
Yeah.
So you took upon yourself the business side, business oriented, and he's more of a.
I always tell him that I'm jealous of him because he actually gets to compete, and I just get to sit on the side and watch.
Yeah.
So I'm jealous that he can compete.
You were the youngest son for relatively elderly parents. I mean, when your parents had you, I mean, your mom was in her 50s, your dad was in his 60s.
Yeah.
Obviously you can't compare it because you were never born to different parents, but growing up to older guys, do you think it impacted your life in some way?
No question about it. I used to, first of all, I'll say bottom line, I couldn't be more grateful to have grown up with the parents that I did, not because of this tremendous business success that they had and all the financial aspects of it, but just as people, they were/are absolutely amazing and have the best values and cared for us like no other parents could. Growing up, when we were young kids, both Adam and I, and it's something that we connected over to an extent, we would see our friends and their fathers would be younger and their fathers would go shoot hoops with them or toss a football around. And because of our dad's age and because of his physical condition, he was unable to do those kind of things. And at a point in time, we did feel like his ability to do things physically had some sort of impediment on our ability to.
To which extent?
We couldn't go shoot hoops with our dad in the backyard.
Okay.
We couldn't go throw a football around with him. And those are kind of activities that, at least in the US, will bring a father and son together, doing physical activities together that they can enjoy together and bond over. And our father had less of the ability to do so. But as I got older, I found other ways to connect with him and other ways to bond with him. We'd watch a lot of TV together.
Was he a sports guy?
He was, surprisingly. He was a big football fan, NFL. He was a basketball fan, not huge, mainly because of me, but he enjoyed watching. He would come to, both him and my mom would come to all of my games growing up, and so they knew the game well enough to watch. We would go out for lunch, we'd go out for dinner. We were big eaters growing up, still are. So we would bond over going out for meals and watching sports together, doing other things.
Okay, 2021 is the year your dad passed away.
It is.
Again, when you're extremely young, can you, if you feel comfortable, obviously, can you share, your feelings? What happens? How traumatic it is for a young kid losing his parent?
As someone who grew up with an older parent, you come to the realization, whether you like it or not, that point in your life is probably closer to you than it is to other people. That's something that, I just had to deal with from the day I was born. Once I started to realize that, what is life and death and why are my parents older and all of these things, it's something that you need to come to terms with, something everyone needs to come to terms with. It was extremely tough. It was extremely difficult for myself and for the whole family. I think what was the most difficult for me is that I realized that throughout the years, there were a few small health incidents here and there, and he always got past it. And so in the back of my mind, I told myself, yeah, he's old, but he's invincible. Like, he always overcomes whatever health obstacle he has. And so, he had cancer for a few years. So when it started to get really bad in the end of 2020, I told myself, he's going to get past it. And there was this kind of denial in the back of my mind that, it could ultimately lead to death, which is what ultimately had happened. But it was very difficult.
Did you feel
it was very tough?
Did you find it? I mean, how the hell can it happen to my dad? Because my dad's Sheldon. People
because my dad's my dad, not because he's Sheldon.
Yeah,
but
but was he always only your dad? Because he doesn't seem like a regular dad. He's like he's Sheldon. He's Sheldon. Presidents, kings, prime ministers. He's Sheldon. So was he a regular dad in that matter, in that fact?
The truthful answer is yes, but obviously I'm not naive. I recognize who he was, the success that he had.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about the money or stuff. I'm just talking about about status.
Neither am I. No, I'm speaking about it strictly from a status perspective. Like, I recognize that. Yes, he was very close with Netanyahu at some point. He's very close with Trump. He's very close with world leaders. Like,
yeah. I'm not even getting into specifics.
I recognize that his death would send waves far beyond just our inner circle of family. I recognize that.
Yeah.
But, at that point in time, I didn't care about the waves. I'm not thinking about the waves.
He's just your dad.
He's just dad at that point in time. I'm not thinking about, the ripple effects afterwards.
Okay. So how did you come here? Did you do a Taglit stuff?
So I did a few Taglit programs, but okay, you know what? Taglit can be a good segue into how I got here. So I did a program called Birthright Excel, Taglit Excel, which is a 10-week program for foreigners and Israelis to come. For the foreigners, it's primarily Americans, but it's to come, college-age students, and do a 10-week fellowship in Israel. Part of the fellowship is internship with companies here in Israel. We've actually now, as Hapoel Jerusalem, signed up to be an employer on the program. And so last year we had an intern. Hopefully we continue to grow and we have more than one intern in summers moving forward.
Excuse me for maybe it's a stupid question, but because I literally have no idea. But as an Adelson, being in a part of Taglit, can you roam around like everybody else? Do you sometimes need to have, I don't know, chaperones, bodyguards? Excuse me if it's a stupid question. I really don't know. I mean, are you just one of the guys being in Taglit?
I did everything my whole life to just try to feel like a normal kid.
No doubt about that. I mean, but is it possible to maintain a regular schedule like everybody else?
Yeah, I maintain a completely regular schedule.
Didn't you at some time have, I don't know, again, like a chaperone, a bodyguard, just somebody to keep you safe because you might be like a target?
Yeah, at times.
Okay.
Let's get back to Taglit Excel for a second. So it's a 10-week program. The Americans on the program have an internship and are matched with high-tech companies, finance, investment banks, venture capital firms, whatever. And so I came between 10th and 11th grade and I did that program. I was here for almost 3 months, lived here, and that was my first experience kind of living in Israel. I came here every year growing up, but that was the most amount of time I'd spent consecutively in the country.
But the rumor is your mom asks you to get some business over here, like Hapoel Jerusalem, which we'll get in a second. So just to keep you here, keep you in Israel,
no.
So you won't get back to the States.
No, and she knows.
It's a great rumor. Great story.
I'm putting an end to it now because it's far from the truth.
Okay.
And my Israeli girlfriend as well, which is my biggest Hebrew teacher to date.
So just to get, we're not going to talk in Hebrew, but if we insisted on it, if you wanted to, we can handle most of this conversation by now.
אני יכול להבין כמעט הכל. Wow, no. See, I'm getting stressed now even trying.
What are you even talking about? It's great.
No, I can understand everything.
Okay.
90% of the language. Wow, that's going to go live on...
No.
Never mind.
If you don't feel
fine.
comfortable.
You can put it live. I don't care.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, I can speak.
Don't
I
worry.
get embarrassed.
Don't worry.
I don't like to sound stupid.
You're
I feel
not.
like when I speak Hebrew, I sound stupid. Anyway, I did this program. Then in the middle of my senior year, I had a job opportunity, a job offer from a company in New York. And I wanted to accept the job offer. At that point in time is when my dad was quite sick. And I asked them to defer the offer. It was to start right after graduation, so the summer of 2021. I asked them to defer the offer 1 year to start in the summer of 22.
Yeah.
Because I knew my dad was sick and I knew my time with him was relatively limited.
Yeah.
And the plan was to stay in school for a master's program to allow myself, obviously being in school, you have more flexibility calendar-wise. And the company did not let me defer the offer. And so I rejected the offer. And the goal was to stay in school. And then in the middle of my senior year is when my dad passed. And at that point, circumstances had changed. I didn't feel the need to stay in school anymore. At that point, it was a tough few months. And at that point, when I came out on the other side, I said, okay, I'm ready to start working, and I was fortunate enough to be able to decide where I wanted to live and then find an opportunity afterwards. And at that point in time, I felt like I kind of needed to hit the restart button on life a little bit. And that's how I ended up here.
Apol Jerusalem. First of all, we need to have a disclosure. I do Euro Cup games for Israel Hayom. And Israel Hayom is owned by your mom or your family. I don't know. I never asked.
I don't know either.
So first of all, we need to say, do you have any connection to Israel Hayom aside of being Miriam Adelson's mom?
No.
Or to the Euro Cup rights? Not that
No.
I care. I don't care. You can have the Euro Cup rights.
Absolutely not.
It's good for me. I don't know.
Despite all the speculation, I was not involved in that acquisition of the rights.
That's too bad. Okay, so March 23, instead of buying a real team like, I don't know, the Lakers, you bought Apol Jerusalem. Why didn't you get an NBA team? I mean, can't you?
Can't I? No. First of all, the answer is no.
Okay.
Why Apol Jerusalem? You want the long story or the short story?
Whichever sounds better.
My dream growing up, again, it's going to be redundant. Lakers.
Are they for
I think
sale?
I think I spoke about this publicly before as
you
well.
have.
That was always the dream. When I was about 18 years old, my dad sat me down one day and he said, if you ever have the chance to buy the Lakers, and it's obviously a huge if, because right now it's probably the most expensive sports franchise in the world,
Okay.
don't do it. And I said, okay, why? And he said, because the Lakers will always be the Lakers, regardless if you're there or not, meaning they're always going to be in the biggest market with the most championships and the sexiest franchise, and you have very, very little room to create value with the Lakers. Take something that's here and build it up to here.
Okay, take Charlotte.
And you're
Take
gonna
Washington.
you're gonna learn a lot more, and you're gonna be a lot more personally fulfilled, and you're gonna create value. You're gonna employ people. It's gonna feel good. You're gonna create value from nothing. And when I started diligencing Apol Jerusalem, I very quickly learned that there's a lot of room to create value. On top of the fact that it's Jerusalem and that I love this country and I live here, and it provides me the ability to be very hands-on and instill what I thought my vision is into an organization that frankly needed a lot of help at the time. Whether people from the outside looking in saw that or not,
Matan,
that was the case.
I have to ask, you don't have to answer like every other question over here. Because, people ask questions and it's natural. When you bought Apol Jerusalem, was it your money?
Everything finance related, everything personal related, I won't touch on.
Okay. But purchasing Apol Jerusalem, was it charity or philanthropy? Or is it about getting into a basketball club and, succeeding?
Is Apol Jerusalem a charity or philanthropy? The answer is no. Apol Jerusalem generates 8 figures a year in revenue, tens of millions of shekels a year in revenue. It is definitely not a charity. It's not an NGO. It is a business. Now,
Is it a good
it is
business?
a business. No, it's not a good business.
It's a terrible business.
It's a horrible business.
Yeah, okay.
And I made it even worse of a business. It's a business that's losing a lot of money
Because you put in more money.
because I wanted to grow. Now, when I took it over, the question is, okay, where do you invest? Do you invest in players? Do you invest in what we're calling infrastructure? More salespeople, marketing, technological tools to advance the organization, more strength and conditioning coaches, blah, blah, blah. The answer is, a little bit of both. Now, money aside for a second, okay, which is obviously everything.
Yeah, everything is interesting, not only the money.
Where do you invest? Because, we want 11,000 people at every game. We want to be in the top level of European basketball. We want to win titles. And we want to accomplish all of those things as fast as possible. Now, what's the path? Is the path to take the Ofer Yanai approach and throw all your money?
Hold it. First of all, are you, Matan Adelson, all in as far as not only getting Apollo Jerusalem, it's yours, obviously, but committed to have Apollo Jerusalem a leading basketball club in Europe? I mean, is this...
No question. No question about it.
Okay.
I want Apollo Jerusalem to be the best basketball team in the world outside of the NBA.
I'm not even talking about want. I'm talking about being committed to it.
100% committed to it.
Okay.
And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I've invested a lot of money. I've invested a lot of time and effort into building Apollo Jerusalem to the point where it's not going to be the best team outside of the NBA tomorrow or even a year from now.
But it can be.
For sure it can be. But it won't be tomorrow or in a year from now. But in 5 or 10 years from now, it could be. In 3-4 years from now, it could be.
And you're definitely here for 5-10 years or for the long run? Because when you're talking about the process, the initial stuff we need to know about before talking about process is you being at the end of the process.
My intention is to stay here for as long as possible. I said this from the beginning. If I can go to the grave with myself being the owner of Apollo Jerusalem, that is a win for me.
Okay, but you might be able to purchase a different organization.
Listen, we're losing a lot of money. The club loses a lot of money. And again, I'm not going to get into details, but let's just say it's in the millions.
Why not?
Okay?
Okay. Of course it's in the millions.
Of course it is. Yeah, anyone would be naive not to think that it is. It's in the millions. And my tenure in Apollo Jerusalem will not be 100% correlated to the commercial or business success of the club.
Because if it would be, you wouldn't be here by now.
I would have never gotten into it in the first place. However, it is important to say that why we are investing so much in the infrastructure and the office and the business side of the organization is that so Apollo Jerusalem can succeed at the highest levels without me having to put in a lot of money out of my own pocket every year. I mean, there are a lot of talks about Maccabi having been self-sufficient and winning titles as well.
Maccabi's not self-sufficient.
Financially speaking?
I don't believe
listen,
so.
Maybe you know better than me.
Okay.
What I've heard is that historically, Maccabi is relatively self-sufficient from a financial perspective. Now, if I need to put in, again, I'm not going to talk numbers, but I'm putting in X this year. If for the next 20 years I need to continue putting in X every year, I'm not going to stay for 20 years.
Okay.
I'm putting that on the table now. But
10, 5, 7, 8,
I
3,
don't want to put
2,
a number
1.
on anything, okay? But I have patience. I'm willing to let processes run. I mean, this war has lasted essentially my whole tenure. It's been 2 years now. I mean, 1 year last year. This season, I'm saying the war will go on through the whole year because financially speaking, we're going to be affected financially speaking as if the war is all season.
So at the beginning, you had a sit down with my friend Omri from Arutz Sport, and you told him about initial negotiations with players and people were checking you out. And me asking around throughout I don't know, maybe last year, saying if something needs to be said about Matan. He cannot be pressured. He's going to take his time. He's not going to hurry up. And no matter how dire the situation seems, players get injured, you have no bigs, and you say, okay, guys, we need some time. We need some time. We're going to need to contemplate on that, think about that. I'm not in a hurry. Is this correct?
I guess so. If other people say it about me.
So. Do you feel people can pressure you enough, stronghold you?
I understand that some things need to move quicker than others, but I will not rush into decisions that I feel can potentially harm us in the future. But if we have to move fast, we can move fast.
Do you feel...
We have moved fast.
Do you feel you guys have reacted quick enough by now to various and, various situations you encountered, Kadin getting back home due to personal reasons, Nimrod getting injured in the beginning of the season, and then Wiley and what's his name, Smith. Yeah. Do you feel like you reacted quick enough, or maybe looking back in time, you could have reacted quicker?
Depends who you ask.
I'm asking you, obviously.
Yeah, I think we acted fine. I think, Justin and Austin got injured
Like in a week.
within like a 5-day period, something like that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. We signed Ogbede within 5 days, something like that.
Well, until it became official, I believe it's over a week. People knew he's going to sign, but then you had that Cedevita Ljubljana game, and then it took a couple more days.
We signed him relatively quickly.
Okay.
We saw and are seeing that Justin's injury probably won't be as bad as we thought it would be. We thought it could be...
Unlike Wiley.
Wiley will be a bit longer, but we thought, Justin and Austin's injury could go through the new year, through January, February. Now we see that Justin hopefully will be back before the new year.
Yeah, but at the beginning, before you had this read, it seemed like these guys are going to be out for a long time. And the season can be over as far as Eurocup is concerned.
Listen, so we signed Derek. We had another player that was at the finish line that we were ready to sign with. A big. Yeah. That the deal crumbled at the end for...
Due to?
A change of heart by the player. We'll put it like that.
Okay. Financially, you guys were done?
All the terms were done.
Yeah.
All the terms were done. We were, in the stages of, throwing the contract back and forth and making small comments and etc. And the deal collapsed at the end due to a change of heart. I think we've reacted well enough to the injuries and to the circumstances that we've been given this year. Now, of course, in hindsight, it's always easy to say what you could have done better.
Yeah, exactly what we're trying to do right now.
Listen, I don't want to say the results are speaking for themselves.
Do you feel like, you're riding on a momentum wave? I don't know if it's...
I also don't want to be blinded by the results. Now,
you shouldn't be.
We're playing. We've won, 9 games in a row.
True.
We have maybe our biggest test of the season coming up this week. I don't want to be blinded by the results. I recognize that, could we use another big, especially in Eurocup? Yes, but...
do you have someone?
Well, Justin's coming back in a few weeks, hopefully.
So you're not looking?
We're on the market. Now, we're not looking to sign a player by this given date, but if we find the right player in the right circumstances under the right opportunity, then we'll make a move.
Do you believe Apollo Jerusalem is the best team in Israel right now?
Yeah, we're first in the standings.
Do you believe your coach? I mean, we're talking about Maccabi Tel Aviv has a EuroLeague coach, Oded Katash, and obviously Apollo Tel Aviv right now has a huge name, Dimitris Itoudis. Do you feel like your coach, Yonchuk, we should call him Yonatan, I think, fares well against these guys? Because, it seems like a mismatch.
It seems like a mismatch from a resume perspective.
As a sports fan, you would agree with me.
From a resume perspective, yeah, and he would agree with you as well.
Yeah, but if you had
he's been around the game for 20 plus years.
If you had the chance to sign Itoudis in the summer, okay, would you?
We knew going into the summer that we were not going to spend. How much is he making at Apollo Tel Aviv? You probably know better than I do.
Hey, Apollo Tel Aviv is a whole different story. I mean, maybe he could have made less for Apollo Jerusalem.
We knew that we were not going to sign a player, sign a coach at that level of money.
Why not?
First of all, I think we spoke about this publicly. We had set criteria for coaches that we wanted to sign over the summer, being EuroLeague experience, and I don't remember. I think there's 3 criteria.
Never mind EuroLeague criteria. I'm talking about right now. As far when you think about it right now.
No, right now I'm super satisfied with Yonatan.
But again, if you had the chance, you had various criteria. But obviously, Dimitris Itoudis is a hell of a coach. One of the best coaches in Europe ever.
Here's what I'll say. Okay, last year was a difficult year. Results-wise, we won the cup. Great. We had a horrible falling out of the BCL. Horrible. One of the most important lessons I learned last year. Now, you can say I hired 2 coaches. Yonatan and Elias Kanzoris, and I had to fire 1.5. The Djikic situation, I won't count that as a full firing because it was kind of, I learned how to get rid of a coach, and I think that was one of the most important lessons that I learned.
Not to.
No, how to.
No, having this kind of knowledge of how to, you also encountered when not to fire.
So, yes. That's the point. How, when, what's the right circumstances? When should you not?
But you are dodging the question. I keep asking you.
I'm getting to the bottom line here. So when we set out for this coaching search after Djikic left, my only criteria was I want a coach to be demanding. That is it. I don't care what kind of basketball they play personally. Now, you know, the GM or Gal or whoever might have a different view on it. My only criteria is I need them to be demanding. That personally is what's important to me.
I'm a demanding guy, but I can't be Apollo Jerusalem's head coach, and I have my coach's
certificate.
Card. Yeah,
I've never seen you coach.
It's good.
But to that point, I've also never seen Dimitri Situtis coach.
But you know,
practice. I've never seen Abramovich coach.
Do you have to watch him? Do you have to watch him with your eyes in order to understand that Jelko Obradovic is probably one of the best coaches in the world in history?
So when we're hiring a coach, it's the responsibility. It should be the responsibility of the GM to interview these guys, to do initial interviews,
Jonathan Alon was
to
the
filter.
GM.
Yeah, and so when we fired Ilias, he conducted interviews with many different coaches. And ultimately, we had a list of a few finalists, and I interviewed them. And you think to yourself, what can you really learn about someone in an hour and a half, 2-hour interview with them? The answer is not much.
NBA teams make decisions upon interviews.
And I'm not saying interviews are wrong. I mean, obviously, anyone that we will hire will have to go through an interview process. But what I'm trying to get to is that you don't really know who a coach is or what he brings to the table until you work with him on a daily basis and you see him conducting practices and you watch him in video and you see how he has conversations with the players.
I'm disrupting you for a second, but can we just say that if Dimitri Situdis was in Jonathan Alon's money and he was available, you would have brought him? It's all about the money at the end of the day, right?
I don't know. Like, I don't like to speculate.
Okay.
Again, with Jonathan, it was a little weird because he was the GM who was instructed to hire a new coach, but also was a candidate for the position as well.
And he failed.
That was a weird process.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I think Jonathan would have been the first person to say, go sign him as a GM.
Yeah.
Jonathan as a GM would be the first person to say, signing Tudis with X amount of money. But
okay,
we saw how well Jonathan worked inside the organization. We saw the level of respect that he earned from the players and the level of and how demanding he was, which for me, again, was the most important, and how committed he was to a system. And ultimately, we're seeing the results of that now. Now, again, I don't want to be blinded by the results, but
you shouldn't be. I told you before. But well, okay, let's talk about the current results. Okay, you guys had a good player by the name of Speedy Smith, which performed very badly since the beginning season began. And once you took him out, or he took himself out of the team, everything just opened up. And I'm talking to you now, not only as the owner for Apollo Jerusalem. Just can you analyze what in the hell just happened? I mean, how can a player who had such a pivotal role in Apollo Jerusalem's success before become a problem, which he has become this season till he left to Ankara?
How like X and O's? You want me to break it down basketball wise?
Whatever. I mean, can you? Did you see it coming?
I have a lot of respect.
Did you believe once Speedy's gone, you guys are gonna just work it out?
I have a lot of respect and a lot of love for Speedy as an individual, so I don't want to trash him or trash his performance.
Just analyzing situation.
Listen, the style of that Speedy plays in is slower. He holds the ball. You know, he'll stay close to the half court line until there's 10 seconds left on the shot clock, and then he'll do a one action pick and roll and either pull up for the most contested shot that somehow he hits anyway, or he'll pass and whatever. With Jared coming in and taking the role as the primary point guard, we saw that the quicker style of play is when the team started to succeed more. And I think, us as the management, we realized that. Speedy himself realized that. And he realized that his position is, it's not the same system. It shouldn't be the same system because, we're seeing less success in the, call it the Speedy fitting system. And so I think he realized that as well, which is ultimately why he asked to leave.
Did you see it coming once he asked to leave? Did you believe it's going to be so quick? Him going and you guys elevating?
I did not. No.
Okay, so I feel better now because I didn't see it coming and I'm getting paid to do that kind of stuff.
There were some very vague internal rumors that, hey, he's not happy. Maybe he would ask to leave. His agent said, if he were to ask to leave, what would happen? And we said, listen, we're not really interested in letting him go. And the next day he has to leave officially. And we're like, okay, this just hit us out of absolutely nowhere.
Okay, two more quick questions about Paul Jerusalem. Let's talk about, we talked previously about sexy names. Can you help us out? I mean, and you talked about the PR perspective also. Can you help us out, coming from where you've come from, and having, American knowledge and NBA knowledge. Did you ever thought about getting over here some huge basketball name which everybody will know, like Pat Bev or whatever, which will cause everybody to say, hey, Paul Jerusalem is sexy. Maybe we'll even buy season tickets because right now not too many are. I'm poking at you.
That's a soft spot that you're poking at.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, yes. And still are actively doing it. When I say we're passively on the market for a 4-man, I mean,
is it possible?
I'm reading lists of NBA free agents on my own personal time and sending names to the professional staff.
Will you spend like serious, not that you haven't like more money than you spend on basketball players right now to bring over a huge name?
When I want to break the bank, when I want to break the budget of the team,
you're the budget.
Yeah, but I've set a budget for the team.
Yeah, but now, it's random.
When I say, let's break the budget and let's, put extra for whatever, this NBA guy, I'll do it.
When
the right opportunity presents itself.
Hasn't yet?
No. It's got to be, again, I'm not the professional here. So let's use codename Pat Bev. Let's use codename Pat Bev.
No, I don't want to talk about Pat Bev because...
let's use LeBron James,
yeah, okay?
LeBron James is a free agent, okay? I want to sign LeBron.
Yeah.
I go to Dan and Jonathan and Gal and I say, let's say it's in 5 years from now. LeBron's 45, maybe he's walking with crutches. Probably not because he's an absolute physical specimen. Yeah. But let's say LeBron at 50 years old, I want to sign LeBron because it's going to sell the whole arena. And everyone says, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to scratch the whole LeBron bit. I'll give you a perfect example, which is very real life as well, okay? Boban.
Marjanovic.
First player that I wanted to sign when I bought Paul Jerusalem was Boban, okay? Why didn't it happen? A few reasons. First of all, because I spoke to him, Boban directly, summer of 22. Was it 22? But no, summer of 23, sorry. And he signed in the NBA another year, so it wasn't relevant. And this summer, I saw, maybe his chances of getting an NBA contract aren't so high. Let's attack it again. And the professional staff, meaning Dan and Jonathan,
fire him.
Say, you know what? Maybe Boban's not the right guy. Maybe we should sign Justin Smith instead or Austin Wiley instead.
Do you believe somebody ever had a conversation and contemplated between Boban and Justin Smith? I'm not saying you're wrong.
I was a part of that conversation.
And what do you think? Boban.
So with him specifically, now, first of all, very happy that with Austin and Justin both. I'm not trashing them, but with that specifically, he wanted to wait to get an NBA contract. We couldn't afford to wait. We wanted to finish the roster, so we went ahead and signed Austin and Justin.
Yeah, but you're hinting you guys said we don't need him.
Listen, if July 1, Boban said, give me a contract, I'm signing, maybe the roster would look a little different this summer, this season.
Okay.
But on the contrary, Jonathan and Dan said, listen, the guy's 36 years old, probably has some health issues. Maybe Boban's not the right guy. Maybe, he can't play more than 25 minutes a game.
So you guys dropped it. And he had some...
Listen, and he, wanted to wait for an NBA.
Yeah.
I will always prioritize winning. And again, I'm not the professional. So even if I really want Boban, generally speaking, if you want to do something and all of your closest companions or advisors are telling you don't do it.
Let him go.
You're not going to do it. If you want to go, I don't know, put $1 million on one number at a roulette table and your 10 closest people are saying, Shai, I think that's a really bad idea. Like, definitely don't do that. You're not going to do it, right?
Actually, I'm the rebellious type. So if people say no,
so
I go.
I'm more risk averse. Like if everyone around me is telling me don't do something, I'm probably not going to do it.
Okay, but Matan, let's be honest about it. You've been asked about this before. Once you, as a part of your family, okay, people didn't know you. I didn't know you. Okay, purchased Apollo Jerusalem. Everybody was waiting and might be still awaiting the Matan effect. You said you talked about value, okay? Everybody was waiting and still anticipating, okay? Having huge amazing, unbelievable names landing here one after the other because you have theoretical. I have no idea. You didn't give me the code to your bank account, so I don't know. Unbelievable, unmatching abilities. You can sign everybody you want. Hold on, and I know it's a process and everything. But if you could bring over who's the best team in Europe right now? I don't know, Olympiacos. You could bring the
Paris
whole.
is first in the EuroLeague.
Yeah, actually, which is kind of amazing with a low budget. But okay, having a great EuroLeague team, just bring them all, as one. You can do that. Why wait? Where is the Matan Adelson effect?
Back to Boban, okay? Summer 23, when I say let's bring Boban, I have to credit Jonathan for this. He said, Matan, with all due respect, we're not ready to sign Boban. And I said, what do you mean? He said, look at our medical staff. Look at our strength and conditioning staff. Look at the quality of the apartments that you put the players in. We're flying commercial once a week, twice a week. Look at the office staff. Look at our ability to sell tickets.
So let's not
look
fly
at the
commercial.
social media team. Look at the marketing staff.
So let's not fly commercial. Let's fly private. It's
Again,
not my money. I don't care.
I set a budget for the team, and I don't want to break the budget. Okay. Now, I'm not going to sign a player and then treat him differently than every other player.
Unlike.
And when Jonathan said the club is not ready for $1 million player, I took a step back and I said, you're partially right. We're not ready.
I don't know. He's okay. Yeah.
We're not ready. Okay. If we signed Boban last summer, we didn't have the infrastructure in place to sell tickets better and to do social media better and to capitalize on such an investment.
Listen,
at the end of the day, you make an investment, you want to see a return.
I believe you. However, it does sound like excuses because it does sound. Trust me. I'm being objective here. It does sound like you're finding reasons. Probably I'm wrong.
The primary reason is because I want to win at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to win a headlines competition or a ticket sales competition.
And with this team,
I
will
want
you
to
be
win
able to?
on the court.
Okay.
And if all the professionals that I put my trust in say, don't do this, we will do better if we take this approach, I will listen to them.
Okay. End of scene. Enters Yamadal. Did you guys want Yamadal?
I'll put it like this. Speedy left.
Yeah.
Speedy is a guard.
Yeah.
Yam is a guard.
Yeah.
It's naive for people to think that we didn't have conversations with Yam. Now, when I bought the team, I gave this press conference, and ultimately I said, the best Israelis need to play in Hapoel Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And that was not some sort of unsubstantiated statement. That was legitimate, and that is the real intent. Now, I wanted to give Yam an offer last summer. For a lot of reasons, we ultimately didn't give one. I won't get into it. But for the last year and a half, you can call it, there was a lot of ping pong back and forth with Yam. Gal is very close with Yam. They were together on the national team for years.
Same agent.
I think Gal actually brought
Yam to
Mishko. And they're very close as friends. And there was a lot of conversations with Yam. And also this season. Now, his move to Hapoel Tel Aviv, the speculation around it was just them and Maccabi. And I'll say that just because we weren't in the headlines doesn't mean we weren't having serious conversations with him. We made an offer to Yam. This was after Speedy had left. We made a very nice offer. We felt that Yam could be a great slot in to the void that Speedy had left for the team. I won't get into the details, but ultimately he chose not to take our offer.
Can you speculate why?
I'll say this. I stand behind the statement, which is that I think we had the best professional situation to offer to Yam before we signed Tariq.
Yeah.
We needed a guard that can consistently play 20 to 30 minutes a game, somewhere in that range, both in Israel and in Eurocup, especially being Israeli. Obviously, we're not going to have to waste another foreign registration for him to play. I think it would have been very natural for Yam to come in. And
so why didn't he, as far as
you need to ask Yam why he didn't accept our offer.
What do you think? Was it about money?
The offer, again, I don't know numbers, but based on what I read in the media, what was published, the offer that he got from Hapoel Tel Aviv was significantly more than what we offered him.
Okay, so this,
But
yeah,
we felt we gave an extremely fair offer, one that was historic for Hapoel Jerusalem standards, and he chose not to take it, which is totally his decision.
okay. Now this is my question to you. We talked about your late dad before, about him winning. Okay, he won, and sometimes it's easy for me to say I'm not the one who's paying, the bills. Sometimes you need to lose your mind and not make an offer which is fair. Sometimes, in order to make a point, and one of the points is we are Hapoel Jerusalem, we're winning, in these kind of fields, which is also battlefields. We will not lose to Hapoel Tel Aviv or Maccabi Tel Aviv or Maccabi Ramat Gan with Moshkovich, and we will not lose because this is Hapoel Yerushalayim and we're making a statement.
But there are trickle-down effects to getting crazy. I don't remember which player it was in Hapoel Tel Aviv, but maybe it was Beverly, said, they gave me everything I asked for.
And more.
And more. So now when they, next summer, go to another player, whoever the player is, they hear Beverly saying, oh, I didn't even have to negotiate. And they say, hey, why do I have to negotiate? Let me go shoot for the moon. And I think some of the actions that others are taking will have more long-term effects than what they are probably anticipating.
But Matan, sometimes you need to seize the opportunity because right now Israeli basketball is changing. Just a second. Israeli basketball is changing. Maccabi Tel Aviv, because of various reasons, is vulnerable, very vulnerable. I'm not even talking about basketball-wise. In a lot of aspects, they're vulnerable. Hapoel Tel Aviv, are doing what Hapoel Tel Aviv does, and maybe sometimes you need to say, okay, I know I'm fully aware what can happen, but it's not going to happen because I'm on it. And I'm going to go crazy because I'm going to win it all this season. It's on me. That's my statement.
What's the question here? What's the follow-up?
You do understand the question, I believe.
Listen, I feel nothing but comfortable and confident on how we handled the negotiation or the discussions with Yam. We made what we felt was an amazing offer. And we gave it to him as a kind of take it or leave it. Like, we're not really willing to.
So you didn't win the negotiation; you lost it.
I don't take it as a loss
Because sometimes you need in business. Sometimes you need to lose in order to win.
We were in different worlds.
Like
being
a flyer, you need to be the flyer sometimes to a various extent.
I don't agree.
You need to win every negotiation. It always has.
You don't need to win. Listen. A professor of mine at Stanford told me something that really resonates with me, which is that your emotions about a negotiation, about the terms of a deal, are more important than the actual terms itself.
Okay, I hear you.
Which really resonated with me. Now, you can argue whether or not it's true, but it really sat with me. If we offer someone X and he says, I'm only coming for 2 to 3X and pay me 2 to 3X, and we feel that X is great, I'm not going to feel good about myself going and paying 2 to 3X.
But if you win it all,
but signing one player will not make or break a season.
But go to the NBA. Sometimes
maybe signing one player could make or break a season.
Of course,
but you will never know the day you sign him. You'll know at the end of the season.
No doubt. But sometimes you need to make moves. Sometimes in the NBA, clubs go way over the salary cap. They know they're going to pay a lot of money, but they go all in because they seize the moment.
When the right opportunity presents itself, you can be sure that we will seize the moment. You can be sure of it.
Ofer Yanai, is he out of his mind?
Ofer is a very, very smart man. He's built a very successful business.
Do you understand him? What he's doing?
He's going all in. He's definitely going all in.
Is he wrong?
Only time will tell.
What do you feel? Don't you sometimes look from the side and say, what's going on?
Listen, some things that he does, there's no way in the world that I would do. Now, bringing big names, okay, I can understand. But the how, the why, the when, some things I don't necessarily agree with, but that's okay. We are allowed to disagree, and he's allowed to do whatever he sees fit with Hapoel Tel Aviv, and I'm going to do whatever I see fit with Hapoel Jerusalem. Is he wrong? Only time will tell. We'll see. I mean, we have a better record than them in Eurocup until now, and they beat us here in the Israeli league, but season is early. Seriously, only time will tell.
Do you believe he can continue in this kind of fashion for years to come, or does it seem to me like he's going all in for a short period of time?
Listen, again, now we're kind of crossing the line between personal finances, which I don't feel super comfortable talking about, but Ofer is not a stupid guy. He recognizes that he's putting most of the money, significant amount of the money out of his own pocket, and he recognizes that he needs a lot more money coming in as revenues of the club, which presumably is the main reason why he wants to move to Menorah. Is the main reason why he wants to move to Menorah. It's good for Israeli basketball.
It's extremely interesting.
It's amazing for Israeli basketball. It's amazing for Israel to have someone like him investing so much, and it gives me, not that I need it, but it gives me more confidence in what I'm doing. It gives me
just about the opposite at times.
Generally speaking, investing in Israeli sports, even now Safra coming into Hapoel Tel Aviv soccer, like seeing people coming in, new faces coming in, investing in Israeli sports, it gives me a lot of happiness to see. The approach, whether he's right or wrong, seriously, only time will tell. But can I see him doing this for the long term? That's something you have to ask him.
Hapoel Yerushalayim, Hapoel Tel Aviv, Euro Cup finals. Where will the games be held?
Now I'll say it publicly, but I've joked about this with Ofer before. First of all, I hope we both get there. It would be historic. It would be unbelievable. If we both get there, where's wood?
I don't know. Yeah.
The camera can see that, but knock on wood. I think we should host the games. I think we should host our home games in Teddy, and I think they should host their home games in Bloomfield.
Hallelujah.
And I think we would easily sell out both of those stadiums. Easily. 30,000 people. What is it? 30,000 in each.
So you guys talked about it. You're friends.
We speak, yeah. I speak also with the owners of Maccabi. I'm on good terms with everyone. I don't want to pick fights, but I hope that happens. I really do, and I hope that we move forward with this Teddy Bloomfield plan.
That's wonderful.
Because it would be historic for the whole country. Historic.
Well, actually, I have 2 hours more of questions, but we're not going to get there.
This is fun. I can keep going.
So we'll have to go to quick questions before we go. Been around the world, your favorite city? Don't say Jerusalem. Come on.
My favorite city? That's really tough. Where my family and friends are. That's my favorite city. Home is where the heart is.
Well, I wouldn't suggest you live in Kabul, even if your family is living over there.
I don't know Kabul.
You should. I don't think you want to.
No.
Okay, your dream charity, philanthropy project, wish to engage in sometimes, some days?
Anything as it relates to promoting the safety and security and well-being of the Jewish people in the state of Israel. That's very vague and very broad, but that's what I'll say.
I had come to a decision not to ask you any questions about politics, but only one question before we end. Do you think Israel right now is in a good state? Do you believe Israel is on its right path?
Generally speaking, I try to remain optimistic about everything in life.
Yeah.
And so is with the case here in Israel. Now, obviously, there's a lot of reasons not to be optimistic. Last week with the ceasefire in Lebanon? That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I remain optimistic that, I think for the first time since October 7th, that agreement is the first glimpse of light that we're seeing at the end of the tunnel. I hope that light gets bigger and bigger. I try to remain optimistic about the situation. Only time will tell.
Matan, in the future, touch wood and everything, where will you raise your kids?
I'll likely move back to the United States and raise kids there.
But have them come over here in Taglit and stuff.
Israel will forever be a part of my life, and I will be coming back here every year until the day that I die. Several times a year even. But yeah, at some point I'm going to move back to the United States.
But still have Hapoel Jerusalem.
Yeah, just because I live in the States doesn't mean that I need to sell Hapoel. The games will be at uncomfortable hours, but that's fine.
מתן, תודה רבה.
Thank you very much.